Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment or medications if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here. Visit BeWellTexas.org.
Hello and welcome to March 2, the pod presented by Eternal Roofing, a podcast. Been busy. It's been busy today. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 20. Was the night before the bowl game. Everyone gather around, grab your coffee and your popcorn. I want to read you a little story. Was the night before the bowl game when all through the university, every creature was stirring because there's a new mouse. The helmets were adorned with the Bearcats logo in hopes the Caesar Superdome would soon bring some luck. And Ben in his took back Texas hat and I in my crazy cap had just settled down for a long winter's nap. When out on the Bauer Stadium lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew in a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash of what's left from the old press box. The moon on the breast of the new fallen dry leaves gave the luster of midday objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a former OC removing his Badgers gear. With Bobby Williams driving so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Phil Longo. More rapid than eagles and nearly residing in Huntsville, he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Keeler, now Fritz, now Witten and Randleman to the top of the stadium and find a football. It's my time to lead the Cats. Ladies and gentlemen, your head coach is Phil Longo.
It's here.
Yeah.
It just got off the presser, lasted right at about an hour and hopping on here.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big reason why we're late. Well, that and the fact that,
technical difficulties.
Let's get into who's doing this here. I'm your host and producer and formerly band member of catfans.com, which should explain a lot. Corey Hogue, the non-FBS insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channels at Corey Hogue Sports. The knowledge of this show is provided by the creator and manager of Sports of SHSU. That's one word, on Twitter and Instagram. Chief Operating Officer of the Cat Fund, proud Bearcat alum, Ben Sorrells. Ben, much going on these days.
It's been busy. It's been fun, but it's been busy.
It has been. Look, today we're going to go over this, right? Like it's all football today. That's just the way this goes. This is our last show of 2024. We will return on January the 8th, 2025. And this is a bowl episode, bowl game tomorrow night, new head coach. So this is all about football today. We're going to go over the case for Phil Longo. We're going to go over the case against Phil Longo. And we want to be honest here. And there was two sides. There was a group that wanted Phil Longo and a group that did not. And we're going to go through that. And then we're going to see where we go from here, which starts tomorrow night in the Caesar Superdome in a bowl game. Don't forget, a bowl game. Lots to be excited about. But before we get into too much of that, let's hear from our friends over at Eternal Roofing. Eternal Roofing and General Contracting is your choice for integrity work in the Texas Hill Country. Taylor Andrus and crew provide experienced quality roofing services with a mission of roofing with faith, serving with integrity, and sheltering homes in the spirit of stewardship. Don't just take our word for it. Here's what satisfied customer Pamela Allen had to say about Eternal Roofing. They did a great job on our patio roof, came out quick for a quote. The quote was very reasonable, and they started and finished work well and quickly. Not a bad thing to say about Eternal Roofing. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email them taylor@eternalroofingtx.com. Once again, big thank you to our friends over at Eternal Roofing, presenting sponsor of this mess we call March to the Pod. And there was a coaching search that happened. And just a minute ago, he was in his introductory press conference just wrapped up. And it's a great time, actually, because we need to make the case for Phil Longo, and I think no one better to make that case than Phil Longo. So, Ben, tell us why this guy was the right choice for Sam Houston.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things you can definitely point to. I think the first one, he had the Sam Houston ties that you were looking for. He knows what it takes to win here, and he's succeeded at a very high level when he was here for 3 years, and he's succeeded at a very high level almost everywhere he's been since then as well. So you have that. He's one of the top offensive minds out there in the country. I know things at Wisconsin didn't go great, but North Carolina, Ole Miss, Sam Houston, all the stops before that, he's been great there. So
Can I stop you there for a second?
okay.
Because I mean, we need to break this down, right? And he's been good everywhere except Wisconsin.
Right.
Why? I can tell you.
I mean, everybody probably has their own reason or thought behind it. I don't really think his philosophy fit the Wisconsin scheme, their player scheme there. It just probably was not the best fit. I think that's what a lot of people point to. Is that the exact reason? I'm not 100% sure, but
that's the reason.
Yeah, Wisconsin's a team that traditionally is going to run it 70% of the time. They're going to have two great running backs back there, and Longo mentioned it in his press conference today. There was a year at Sam Houston where they ran for over 3,000 yards, and he can do it that way. But I just don't know if the personnel necessarily fit what he was trying to do there, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes guys that are really talented on the offensive side of the ball, it's just not the right personnel fit there. You don't have the right scheme in place for what the head coach wants to do, and I just don't think it was the best fit for him. I don't think it's any really indication of who he is as an offensive coach, especially since he has a lot more good years than bad years. But I mean, it's something you got to take into account. But I think ultimately it was the players and the scheme that Wisconsin had there originally, and it was just too much to kind of turn in a year or two for what he wanted to do.
Do you think Pete Carroll was successful as a head coach
At USC?
at USC and with Seattle?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, he was failure with the New England Patriots.
Right. Yeah, and I mean,
It doesn't work everywhere.
Nick Saban was terrible with the Dolphins, for example.
Yeah, and he wasn't going to leave, and then next thing you know, he's at LSU and then Alabama and
right,
however that went. But no, that's my point. Look, Wisconsin's the Big Ten, and in the Big Ten, you have to be road graders. You have to be like South Dakota State,
yeah,
right, like that, or North Dakota State. Right, like that's what you got to do. You got to build towards the area that you're at. And I don't think the roster fit that. Now, there are some concerns with this. And I will tell you, there's some things he said during the press conference that sound wonderful, as in the offense will run according to what personnel they have. That's the right answer. I also question why you couldn't get the Wisconsin offense to go with what personnel they had. Right, so that's a counterpoint to that. Not saying he's going to be success or failure based off of that at Sam Houston. But I also think it's unfair to hold one job against the guy. If USC had held what he did at New England against Pete Carroll, he would not. They would not be the USC they are right now. Right. It's just a fact.
Yeah, and I mean, conference, even the ACC when he was at North Carolina is a much different game than the Big Ten, and Someone asked him about what his thoughts on Conference USA were, and he said he hasn't watched enough of the league to know kind of what the style of play is, who the coaches are exactly. But I feel like his style of play fits a lot better in Conference USA or the ACC, maybe even the SEC some compared to the Big Ten. The Big Ten is kind of just an outlier out there. Your Iowas, your Wisconsins,
Yeah.
your Penn States,
Well,
Nebraska, teams
let,
that are always going to play that tough, hard nosed defense like the Dakotas do, like you mentioned.
let's just break it down to what the truth is. If today it is above freezing, you probably have really good athletes and a different style offense than if it's below freezing today.
It's freezing up in Madison.
It's a weather type of, but that's look. It really is like you could draw on your map what part of the country is like that. So what is Conference USA? It's no different than the ACC. Like what Cam Ward's doing over at Miami, right? Like it's no
Right.
different than what the offenses you see run in the Southeastern Conference or out on the West Coast. And I'll tell you this too, Ben. Like that's not just true for the FBS. That's true for every level of football.
Mm-hmm.
Ferris State is in Michigan. They're in the D2 national championships. They're going to run the ball at you, and they're going to run it down your throat. Valdosta State is in the D2 national championship, and they've got a high-flying offense who their offensive coordinator from last season was at Abilene Christian. We saw what he did with the running gun and Maverick McIver this year. It just is, right? Like you go up to Montana State, it's going to be a little different than it's going to be down here. It's the geography thing, I think, and that honestly, that's another reason why someone like a Casey Keeler, who was able to be successful up at Rowan in New Jersey and be successful here, the guy's had to adjust. He's had to learn how to adjust. I want to go to the press conference here and some of the things that Bobby Williams had to say. Am I the only one that gets the feeling that that gets kind of a bit of a car salesman vibe from Bobby sometimes?
Yeah, but I think that's what every AD has to be to some degree.
To a point, yes, to a point, but naturally, look, you had the best pool of candidates. That's a given, right? Your FBS, you better have had the best pool of candidates you've ever had. He said Longo checked all the boxes. That's obligatory. Whether he did or not, you've got to say all that because Bobby's going to say the right stuff, right? Like that's just what he does. Now there are some things that kind of gave me a little side eye. Said that he and Longo had planned on meeting before Keeler announced he was departing.
Mm-hmm.
That
I heard that too.
That's intriguing to me, Ben.
Yeah.
What do you make anything of that?
Yes and no. Yes, in the part that the job did come open, and they did talked on about a 6-month basis, kind of to start with. So, I mean, it might have helped there a little bit when the process did get started. But no, also because he had already been let go by Wisconsin. I know he's still got friends and family down here that he was probably just visiting because he had time because he didn't have a job at the time. So I think it helped a little bit just to get his foot in the door quicker than maybe some others when the job did come open, but also no, because he might just have been down here in the first place, just visiting friends and family and wanted to stop by and see Bobby also. And if the job wouldn't have come open, it just would have been some regular meeting with him. So I think it helps a little bit. Also doesn't help it. I don't know. I don't think too much of it.
Texacantina said solid hats today. Thank you. They also want to know, will the, I'm guessing, press conference be up to watch later? I imagine
Yes,
so.
it
That's Bearcat Sports Network, I believe.
It will be. Yeah, Riker told us beforehand that it will be, and it's just like every other midweek press conference. It'll be posted a couple hours after.
Okay. Yeah. So look for that. The press conference will be coming out. And you know, Brian Judson Jr. said views are up today. Brian, that's because there's a lot of interest into what's happening right now. And we're going to get into that. This second segment, we're going to get into kind of the search, the full on into the search, how all that happened and came about. Again, because there is some interesting parts of that before we get into previewing the bowl game.
And there's some more from the presser I want to get into.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
A couple random points. The first one being he hit on multiple times complementary football. How, like you said, they're going to play by the personnel they have, whether that be running the ball, throwing the ball, being balanced there, but also playing complementary football to the point where you can give your defense a rest. And he said that's something he's learned from Casey Keeler. He's learned from Mac Brown, from Luke Fickell. He mentioned that as one of the things he's learned from different guys along his different stops. And so I think he's kind of learned that to win at this level, you'll have to play complementary football. It can't just be the run and shoot 100% of the time. You've got to give your defense some sort of a break. I know he brought up a story about how the defensive coordinator at one of the schools he was coaching at, I can't remember which one it was, but he said, can you slow it down for just this one drive? Because I got to get my defense to adjust to this one thing, and I need time to talk to him. So just little things like that on learning how to play complementary football, I think, is important, and something that maybe he didn't have a lot of when he first got here to Sam Houston, because it was a lot of up-tempo, a lot of games that were, 49-42 kind of thing, but maybe if he can find that balance of playing a little up-tempo, still scoring a lot, but giving the defense a chance to rest and adjust, I think is a big thing. And then the second thing I want to hit on also is he is going to be calling the plays, but he is still hiring an offensive coordinator and an associate head coach who are going to work a lot with him in the strategic game planning for the offensive side. So he's calling the plays, but there are still going to be at least two other people that are really going to be helping him there, so he can work with the defensive side of the ball, so he can work with special teams and stuff like that. So he'll be involved with the offense, but maybe not as much as some people think he might be.
I'd rather him not call plays.
I see it both ways. I think he's a great play caller, but does that take away too much from focusing on the defense or focusing on special teams? I could see it either way.
Well, should he have a hand in the offense? Oh, no doubt, right? Like, duh. But when you're the head coach and you have all the media responsibilities and all the other, and I know, look, you got an associate head coach. They're there to help out with some of that. You've got to learn how to delegate. That's going to be very, very big for Phil Longo here. Learn how to delegate. I would rather have the person calling plays, the one that's been diving into that film all week and seeing the weaknesses, as opposed to the head coach who's been distracted at times. And I get that he's a good play caller, but man, that's tough.
Only time will tell. Like I said, I could see it go either way. I think the results on the field will be the biggest thing and the biggest indicator of it. See the question there from Jason Plotkin. Did Longo or Bobby mention Bowers? No, they didn't talk about Bowers at all. The only facilities mentioned was Longo talked about how when he was touring the facilities while interviewing and everything, that he was just really impressed by the different upgrades in the locker room and the new turf and all that. But no, they didn't hit on the new stadium for next year, what that situation would be. Bobby told me this summer in my interview with the Cat Fund piece that I did that the plan was to play at Bowers next year during the renovations, but they were working on contingency plans if something did come up. So it wasn't a sure thing that they were going to play at Bowers. And as of right now, it's Bowers, but if something were to change, I wouldn't be really shocked.
So Phil Longo was not my pick. My pick is now the head coach at New Mexico. Just saying. Jason Eck was my pick. My pick didn't even probably get an interview or even a look, to be honest with you. So that, it's all right. Not that I matter at all with any of that stuff. But my point of the matter is he wasn't the guy I wanted. But there are some things that I read today from the press conference that I did like. He says it feels like a home. That he seems to truly love Sam Houston.
He does.
Those are important things because when you truly love something, you will work as hard as you have to do to make it be successful.
Started off with that in the very first part of his opening statement. Even talking about his love for Sam Houston has never ended. He mentioned how he would watch Sam Houston games when he could up in Wisconsin or at North Carolina, Ole Miss, and always been tuned into what the Bearcats are doing. And he said leaving was one of the hardest things he's ever had to do when he did leave to go to Ole Miss. So yeah, he absolutely wants to be here, and I've reported on that in the Cat Fund section since the moment Keeler left that Longo wanted this job and was going to be in the mix. So he wants to be here, and he is here, and I mean he is passionate about it. That's 100% sure.
In the opening, I said that he set up residence in Huntsville. He pretty much did.
Yeah, he did.
He already had a plan. He already has a list of coaches. Like, I mean, this guy was ready when Keeler said he was there. And he wants it to the point that before the season, and you reported this too, Ben, that he was interested in the job when Keeler retired. That was the interest level he had in the job without any clue of when, because Keeler by far looks like he's not even close to retirement right now.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I did send you that from a conversation I had with someone in July of this year, and then we were just kind of offhand talking about like who would be next after Keeler. If Keeler's got 3 to 4 more years left, may have more, but if Keeler had 3 to 4 more years left, who could be the guy? And this one person I was talking to said multiple times it would be Longo, and I showed you the text that I had back from July, and I mean here we are. So his interest in the job came as no surprise to me.
Jason Plotkin wants to know, Corey, you watch many of pressers. Did Longo win the presser? 100% transparency. I didn't actually watch it. I didn't have the link to watch it. But what I know about this presser is what I've read from Ben tweeting out at Sports of SHSU and Colton Foster on Twitter, who were there. Ben, did you come away excited about the Bearcats' future after that press conference?
I did. And I think
he won the presser.
Yeah,
right?
well,
Like that's what matters, right? Like if he alleviates the fear, some of the stuff of the fan base, and I think he did in the fact that he seems to truly love Sam Houston. And I believe if you love something that much, you will fight tooth and nail to make it successful. And listen, success, yes, there's many parts to it. You got to have money. We talk about all the time, give to Cat Fund, right? You got to have university alignment. The president wants the football team to do well. The AD's going out to get the money. They're redoing the stadium. They're redoing the press box. I mean, I think you can check these boxes right now. Then at that point, it comes down to how hard you're going to work, and not just August to December. How hard are you working January 1st, January 2nd, right? Like every single day is what matters, because that's how you're going to build that program that's going to be successful.
And I'm glad you brought up the January to August part of it, because that brings up transfer portal, some high school recruiting. He made a point that his number one emphasis right now is trying to retain as many players as possible from the current roster, over recruiting from the transfer portal. Not that they're not going to recruit from the transfer portal, but he wants his number one priority right now to be retaining guys. And I've heard there's a team meeting where he'll meet with some of the team tonight in New Orleans. So it sounds like that process is already kind of in motion. He's in New Orleans right now. We'll be there tomorrow, but it definitely sounds like first priority right now, at least for the next couple of days, is trying to see how many guys he can retain. And if you can retain a couple of them, that's a really big win, because obviously this is a team that had the potential to win Conference USA. And if you can bring those kind of guys back, I mean, that's a big win for the program.
Yes, no, that is important, but you better be hitting that transfer portal full blast too, because there is some talent out there right now, especially with rosters getting cut. Go find some.
Well, and I was going to say from a numbers perspective, you've got about 95 to 100 on the entire roster, 85 scholarships, obviously, but I think it was 21 that graduated, and I think it's 23 that are in the portal. So that's about almost half your team, 44-ish, that you've got to find a way to replace. I think right now you're bringing in 7 freshmen. So that gets you down to mid to upper 30s. I'm assuming you could probably bring back a handful of guys, but you're going to have to bring in probably 30 players between now and the summer to completely round out this roster.
I saw Jay Ducker said he was going to stay.
No, that was Zach Herbacic.
Oh, yeah. All right. I'm sorry. Not Ducker. That was Herbacic. Yes. Okay. Chris Gilstrap. By the way, there's some great head coaches out there that call the plays. Sarkisian comes to mind. Chris, you are 100% right on that. Also, I will tell you that I'm not a fan of necessarily Sarkisian calling the plays all the time. It's the same reason. There's only so much time in the day, and I talk to coaches all the time. I talked to one today who told me he has zero desire to become a head coach, and I said, "Is it because of all the extras the head coach has to deal with?" And he said, "Correct."
Yeah,
I mean, there's just a lot to it, and so I feel it's more effective that way. But look, can it happen? Yes. Can it be successful? Of course. I'm giving my druthers. I would just rather it not be that way. And then he's got another question. Do you think the announcement of his hiring today is a distraction? Currently, I kind of wish the presser would not have happened in NOLA. Ben, I think from last week's podcast, we kind of expected this to happen this week.
Yeah, and you got to get it done at some point. And Bobby did say that he made it an emphasis to not have an announcement or a press conference the day of the game. So they at least did that part of it. I don't think it's a huge distraction. Just because the team's been there for 3 days already. They're 3 days into bowl prep. They've been doing community service stuff out there. I saw they went to a bowling alley event last night. So I don't think they're really too tuned into the press conference and all that. I mean, they're going to see the hiring, but these guys seem pretty locked into the game, and I'm glad the university didn't announce the hiring or do the press conference the day of the game. That's about the best you can do.
Well, yeah. Oh, no, you don't do that. Number one, that would be a PR disaster. But now he did mention that he's going to be down there and talking to players and stuff. That can be a distraction.
Yeah, and I've heard he's gonna meet the team tonight. I don't think it's gonna be a very long interaction. I don't know what that entails really. It could be specific players. It could be a whole team address.
Dude, I'd go in front of the team right now. I'm telling you what Corey Hogue would do. I'd walk in front of that team right now, and I would say, "Men, listen, you got a damn bowl game to go win tomorrow night. Go win the damn game." That's all I would say, and then I'd walk out because the rest of it we can figure out later.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because it reminded me of another point from the presser. He opened, his very first thing he said was, "I'm happy to be here, but I think our attention right now is on these guys and them getting a 10th win, and that's what it's really about right now." So I thought it was good that he acknowledged the team trying to get to a 10th win of the bowl game from the very start, and kind of put the emphasis on the players and the job they've done this year. I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do.
So let's go back. Jason wanted to know, did he win the presser? I think so. I think we're going to give Phil Longo a win in the press conference.
He's 1-0.
We won today.
Yeah.
Just got to win today, right? That's all you got to win. And then everything will be all right.
One at a time.
That's right. We are a podcast on the Republic of Football Network and an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Please like and subscribe to the podcast and follow us on the various social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at March to the Pod. It's all one word, March the number 2 the Pod. You can find us on Threads at the March to the Pod with the number 2. Again, all one word. And before we get into, how this kind of came about, how we ended up with Phil Longo, let's hear some more from our friends over at Eternal Roofing. Eternal Roofing only uses the finest materials in the roofing business while providing an exceptional warranty. Why do they use CertainTeed products? Because they complement any appearance, provide exceptional and reliable strength, and are known for their enduring performance. Here's what Shane Sosa had to say about Eternal Roofing. Taylor and his team are amongst the highest level of professionals. They care about their customers and go above and beyond just doing the job. Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 815-8539 or email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com. Big thank you once again to our presenting sponsor, Eternal Roofing. Man, Ben is busy, guys. We can hear him typing away down there on his keyboard today.
Lots going on.
There is so much happening. Okay, so we went over the press conference. We went over the case, why Phil Longo. There is another faction. You know, it's not often. It does happen. It's not that it's rare, but it's not as often that it happens that there truly becomes two camps of a fan base during a coaching search. And in this case, there really was. There was the camp for Phil Longo and the camp against Phil Longo, right? Like almost anyone else. Matt Pallage was one of the names that was a finalist. Sean Bell was another finalist. We 6 finalists. I think if you really want to narrow that down, you could probably say it ultimately came down to those 3.
Mm-hmm.
And look, Matt Pallage found out this last weekend he was not a member of it, right? He was not going to
Monday about midday, yeah.
Yeah, and so then it was just a matter of when that was coming, who was left between Sean Bell and Phil Longo. There were 2 very distinct sides. There were some that were very anti-Longo for whatever reason. I don't know. It could be personality. Look, he's been here before. Maybe he rubbed some people wrong before. I don't know. But that it's a fact, and that kind of stuff does happen. And then there were, and again, we talked about this, I think, a little bit last week too. There have been some donors that left the program because they just didn't like Casey Keeler. Phil Longo, probably the guy that will bring them back in.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things, I'm not saying this is why he got hired, but he did have a lot of donor support. Randy Stewart's a guy that was on the committee, a prominent member of the Bearcat community and donor base, and Bobby Williams and Phil Longo brought him up. I know they have a great relationship, and I think that's part of the interview process in today's hiring cycle now is, can you fundraise and get the donor base behind you? So it sounds like he definitely has a good group behind him, which is something you got to do. Is everyone behind him? Probably not, but it's never going to be 100%. So yeah, it was a very interesting.
You know how to get people on board?
Win.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Like, you can be unhappy all off season if you want to, but if he goes out and wins the first 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to be like, oh, okay, Longo's great. It's that simple, man. And it should be, right? Like, honestly. But if he starts losing, even the donors are going to be like, oh, crap, what do we do?
Yeah. Well, and to talk about the search, too, from the jump, it always felt like it was Longo and this other guy. And then it was like, okay, well, that guy's out of it. It's Longo and this guy. It always felt like Longo was in the mix and always probably the guy. And Craven and what Craven and I have reported over the past week or so has been very similar. We were hearing very similar things yesterday who it was down to 2 people between. And it always felt like Longo was kind of the guy or one of the 2 guys in the mix the entire search.
So watching this from the outside, I told you, this has been really interesting to me. Yesterday, both you and Craven, you were 99.9% sure Phil Longo was the coach.
That was at like 8 a.m. yesterday. Yeah.
Yes. So this was well before it broke. Well before it broke. And it was like, honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised at that time if either of you had gone with it, because I think the risk was minimized at that point.
Yeah.
But I also don't blame you for not, because if you do and you're wrong, it's rough, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is. It's rough. So I understand it. Here's what I do find fascinating about it is how you guys were so in tune with what was happening more than the national guys that have the agents.
Yeah.
Right? Like right after Craven tweets it out, and you tweet out confirmed, right? Like
Because I heard it from my guy about a minute after. Yeah.
Yeah, like as soon as you guys do that, Football Scoop says Phil Longo is emerging. No, not fully. You
He is the guy.
he is, and then they had to retweet. They sent out another tweet with it'll be finalized tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You see, but what I love about it is that you and Craven were ahead of those national guys, and I am a big fan of anybody who can beat the national guys because they get it from agents. It's cheating,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, and even before yesterday, Craven put out 6 names. I had 6 names, and 5 of the 6 names were the exact same.
Exactly.
We just differed on one name, and so
Yeah.
we were aligned there and aligned yesterday morning. But like you said, we were waiting for one more domino to fall. I mean, and we were 99% sure, but you don't want to run with it until you got that final confirmation from that one person. And so I'll take being second if that's what it takes to be right. So.
I think both of you are first, to be honest with you. I don't think, I really do. Like, and I think both of you feel that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Craven was happy that you were right there with him at the same time. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
both of you wanted one of you two to get it because
Right.
it's just better that way.
Right. And if someone beats you even by a minute, they were first.
Dude,
I mean, that's what I put on there. You got so.
That's not the Jason Plotkin says, any news on Brad Sherrod? Did coach with Longo? Seems like a name on the rise, whether Sam or elsewhere. Jason Plotkin, you leave my people alone. You understand me, sir? I am not going to sit here and allow you to come poach a coach over there at Texas Wesleyan that just led that team to their first ever NAIA playoff appearance and had the nation's best offense, averaging 57.5 points per game. I will not let you do that. I'm not also going to let you take Fran Johnson. We're keeping him in the non-FBS area, guys.
You're not going to ruin Corey's New Year's Eve either with throwing some more coaching news in there. But
no, hey, do not listen. Last New Year's Eve, Ben knows this story.
we were talking about this last night.
We were. Last New Year's Eve. Okay. There are twice a year that I get together with my sister, brother-in-law, and some friends. And we just have fun. One of those is July 4th. That's more to celebrate our country. You know, that's fun. But we let loose on New Year's Eve. And when I let loose, there's no filter. And it can get fun. It can get funny. It can get offensive. But it can get funny. Last New Year's Eve, I'm sitting there with no filter, and all of a sudden, Braxton Harris has left Houston Christian and is headed to Campbell. And I have no way of putting this out. Now I'm angry. I'm mad as it because I was like, Dad, go. Thankfully, Craven was able to take it and write it up. But I'll tell you, from then on, Ben, I now have an iPad with a keyboard that this weekend I'm going to be in Arlington. I'm going to be at AT&T Stadium. I'm going to have my iPad with me because there's a chance that news breaks and, damn it, I'm not missing it again.
Right. Yeah, it never ends. It really, really never ends. But yeah, back to Sherrod. I think Longo's got a staff that's, I mean, guys he knows he wants to reach out to. If not, they've already kind of verbally agreed to come. And I've heard that for a little while now. But it's been, I think, less than 24 hours since it became official. And I think we might hear some stuff here in the next couple of days. I haven't heard anything yet. Have some conversations and meetings over the next week or so to get into that stuff. But for me, at least right now, a little too early for it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I want to answer this one also. Another one from Jason. I didn't go the Clint Killow route. No one did. Well, Craven did on his initial piece. Look, that was not going to be the right route for Sam Houston, in my opinion, from the start.
Well, it's funny because Bobby said on his podcast last week, the 12th, I think it was, interviews in Saturday, we'll make the decision, and it'll be out Monday or Tuesday. And it was kind of like, okay, well, the decision hasn't been made. It's Monday or Tuesday, and everybody on Cat Fans thinks it's Clint Killow. And He was never in the mix. Never.
He
Was
wasn't going
never
to be.
playing.
He's not a good fit for Sam Houston. He will be a good fit somewhere, but it just wasn't Sam Houston. And look, what he's doing at UIW is amazing. Here's one that's interesting. I want to get to this one here. MEO696 says or asks a question here: does the Longo hire increase the likelihood of DJ Bailey getting more reps? I wanna go ahead first and say that DJ Bailey's biggest problem, from my understanding at this point, is DJ Bailey.
100%.
You remember when I said if you love something, you're gonna work as hard as you can to not fail? Dude, if you want to be a good football player, if you want to start at the FBS, everything you do every day of the week of your life has got to be focused on getting better as a football player and then passing your grades, which is all part of being a football player.
Yeah.
That's the part where DJ Bailey needs to decide. And look, he's talented. He's got more than enough talent. We've seen it. And if he decides that he wants to get more reps and puts that work in, this dude could be outstanding.
Yeah, he can, but I mean, even just outside of DJ Bailey and who he is as a player, you have to look at the roster now and who Phil Longo is. Roster now, Hunter Watson still has another year, and if Longo wants him to be the guy, I mean, he's going to be the guy. It's not going to be DJ Bailey.
And there's a chance.
Yeah.
I know some people don't think Hunter Watson necessarily is a Phil Longo guy, but when Phil Longo comes into the press conference and starts saying things like, we will coach and run our offense according to our personnel, that to me means he's talking to Hunter Watson.
Yeah, if that's the way he wants to go, and that's the quarterback he wants, that's the play style that fits Hunter. So you have Hunter there. I think Silas Gomez is a guy not a lot of people talk about. He's been in the program for a couple of years and looked pretty good in the spring. So you've got him as well. Jax Brown, who knows what he could develop into as a true freshman. And then there are 3 Wisconsin quarterbacks in the portal. Do any of those have interest in coming to Sam Houston? Is there somebody else out there that Longo is interested in wanting to bring in? So I wouldn't say there's a 0% chance of DJ Bailey getting reps this year, but I would say for this next year it's slim to none. And even if Keeler and the staff did stay here, we all kind of thought it was a redshirt freshman year, sit as the second or third string guy as a freshman, and then maybe your sophomore year become the guy. So even on that timeline, we're still a year away.
All of a sudden, my computer mouse has decided to stop working. Not sure why. Not a good thing.
Come on, award-winning producer.
Hey, here we go. Chris Gilstrap said, I hope he could change DJ McKinney's mind. I think there's a chance.
Well, did you see the picture he posted this morning?
No.
He posted a picture of him making a run at the Texas State game, and it had this emoji, like the thinking emoji on it. And I know at least one former player reached out to him today. So I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, and the thing is, if you get DJ McKinney back, you've got a backfield of DJ McKinney, Zach Hrbacek, and Coco Brown, which that top 3 can definitely play in Conference USA. And we've already secured commitments from, it sounds like 3 players on the offensive line through Cat Fund. And if you've got 3 offensive linemen at least that you can really depend on, 3 running backs you feel good with, if you want to bring back Hunter Watson, I mean, the offense has a chance to be in a pretty good spot as it is today. So we'll see.
Funny you mentioned Cat Fund. You have 3 offensive linemen. And if you ever listen to Corey Hogue talk about a football team, I will tell you the 2 areas that you need to make sure you have are offensive and defensive line. And if you're gonna prioritize one of those 2, you better have the O-line. There are so few good O-linemen. You better prioritize your O-line. And you know what? Cat Fund knows the message. They've been doing that. And I think it's very important here, Ben. I'm about to turn it over to you, and you tell people how to join, how to get involved in this. But I think it's crucial at this moment when more eyes are on Sam Houston and the talk and the coaching change and everything. to let people know you truly want to win, and GJ Kinney said it yesterday, it's more and more a bit of a money game as well.
Yep.
Doesn't mean that look, Sam Houston's not going to be giving out millions, right? Like that's not the game we're talking about with NIL at Sam Houston, but you better have enough to at least entice some kids to at least stay, some players, right? To do that, the Cat Fund, that's your way. You want to win, you really, truly want to win, and you have minimum $10 a month. Cat Fund is how you go, and Ben is going to tell you how to get over there and what else you get when you join there.
Yeah, cat-fund.com. You can go to our website there and sign up for as little as $10 a month. And with that membership, you get access to our exclusive content on catfans.com. You get it no matter what level you're at. And if you continue to move up levels, you can get shirts or polos like this one here. Also, you can get discount on different merch and things we have going on. We had our Took Back Texas hats from during the season, discount for members. I think we might have a basketball event similar to what we did last year in January, still working on that. We have another auction event, which should go out here very soon. Cat Fund members get a discount to that. So just a lot of really cool stuff, and you get to support athletes at Sam Houston, make a difference in the success on the field. And we need you more now than ever, and had a lot of really great info over there this last week. Like I said, we had 5 of the 6 or 6 of the 6 candidates mentioned in there that interviewed, mentioned who it was down to when it came down to the final 2 and what that looked like. I talked about strength coach Kevin Schott moving over to Temple with Coach Keeler. Had that before the national reporters did. So a lot of really good inside info there that you can get while also supporting athletes. So definitely want to sign up and become a member today, and we definitely need you.
I challenge you to try to beat my record of being banned from catfans.com.
It's gonna be tough.
It's going to be really hard because you only got like a few minutes.
I don't even know. Didn't you just log in and it said you were banned?
Okay, so I created an account months ago, right? But I went on to Cat Fund and I signed up for Cat Fund to support the Sam Houston athletes. And when I went back, because when you do that, it says, hey, check back soon with, process it. You'll have access to the Cat Fund section exclusive on catfans.com. Later in the day, I was like, oh, cool. Let me go see. I went over, it said, you have been banned. And I went, well, I'll be dang.
I got it fixed within about an hour for you, but yeah.
Well, you had it fixed quick. And the reason why is because there were people apparently, what was it? Let's see. The official reason was that there have been people kind of spamming. There were some bots coming in, and that is always something you have to fight on the message.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. There's been some security issues on there, so some people have had some issues posting or getting in, but
what really happened? Somebody saw my name and said, "Oh hell no, not that dude."
Yeah. Well, it's staying on the Cat Fund thing. Texacantina mentioning Keep the Cats. I totally forgot about that, but we've raised about $5,000 through our Keep the Cats campaign, and that's helped us be able to retain the handful of guys that we've had deals with. So yeah, Keep the Cats. It's on all of our social media pages. You can find some of our player videos there that we've done, and click the link through the post. So yeah, definitely donate to Keep the Cats.
I think I've heard enough. I think I've heard enough of these. Let's see if I get it right. It's 9360, 93 for the 9-3 record, and the 936 with the area code, right?
There you go.
Boom! I listen. Your ads pay off. Go. That's what, honestly, it's because I've heard that 4 or 5 times from the different, players that have talked, and I listen to it because I'm always interested, to hear what they have to say, to hear how they talk. I always find that intriguing, and so you pick up some things along the way. Advertising works. 9-3
record and the 936. I thought it was pretty clever. I came up with the name. I didn't come up with the number, but I came up with the name. So
that's pretty good. Too bad you weren't like Elevation 9,360 or something. That'd been really cool.
Or like the Denver Nuggets have the 5280 jerseys for Mile High.
Yeah, you're 9,360 feet in the air. You're pretty high up.
Yeah, Huntsville is close to below sea level, if anything.
Yes, definitely. Before we get into where we go from here, let's hear one more time from our friends over at Eternal Roofing. Eternal Roofing is locally owned and dedicated to giving back to the community by supporting local organizations and charities. They are also the winner of Nextdoor's Neighborhood Faves for 2 consecutive years. And as you know, if you've listened to this podcast, Eternal Roofing is your choice for Christmas lights. They provide premium lights tailored to fit your home, season-long maintenance, and hassle-free removal. Kyle Tatum said, "They're very professional and great quality, on time and clean, and really made me feel like they cared for me and my home." Give Eternal Roofing a call today at area code 830-251-5673 or area code 936-215-8539, or you can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com. Ben, big thank you one more time to our friends over at Eternal Roofing. We are very, very happy to have them a part of March to the pod. And I don't know, I know we've been doing this for like 51 minutes. I will tell you that Sunshine the Fourth wants us to get through this preview episode pretty fast right here.
Yeah, so we'll speed run it. We'll try.
She's looking at me like I'm going to lose a leg if she don't get some food here soon.
Yeah.
She'll be fine. She's a dog. Hey, tomorrow night, Thursday night, 6 p.m. at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. It is the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Sam Houston Bearcats, Georgia Southern Eagles. It's on ESPN2. You want to know a little dirty secret?
What's that?
I'll have it on, but I'll be paying attention to high school football. Not going to lie.
More football, the better.
I'm all about the high school football. Man, this week, these state championships. If you don't have a free 7-day FUBO trial, what are you even doing?
I was going to say, I'm just glad we didn't get Duncanville North Shore number 10 or whatever they're on.
Yeah, it's been a lot, but got some good matchups. I've done a couple features this week. I did one on the head coach at Woodville. They're playing Gunter this week, and that's supposed to have been out 30 minutes ago, but I didn't post it because I'm on a podcast. To be honest with you, so it happens. Let's see. There it is. It's being published right now on TexasFootball.com. Ty Robinson seeks to add a new legacy to family coaching tree. It's a really intriguing story. I really enjoyed that. And then the other one, I did one on Richmond Randall. Have you seen their defense? They play South Oak Cliff Friday night, man. That is going to be fun.
Yeah, I haven't been too tuned into high school football this year just because it's been so busy with Sam Houston stuff. But, I mean, it's hard not to pay attention during championship week. So I'm excited to tune in.
I pay attention in Wichita Falls area, being around here and being asked to do some picks and stuff for that area. But when it gets to like quarterfinals, semifinals, I really hone in on kind of who's there. And then when you get asked to do features, you really better hone in on what you're doing, right? If you're going to write about these guys.
Yeah.
Richmond Randall, they're allowing 7.6 points per game. They have not allowed anyone to score more than 14 points, and only 5 teams have scored more than 10 on them all season. They have a 4-star Texas A&M recruit, Chase Sims, who is by all accounts, is one of the best people you'll ever meet. Just don't try to explain that to the offensive lineman he goes against, is all I'm going to say.
Well, I was going to try to make a slight Sam Houston connection to this game. The offensive coordinator for South Oak Cliff is Jay Walker, who was our wide receivers coach 2 years ago. So
there you go.
Trying to find a little bit of a tie there.
There you go. That works. Okay, so where do we go from here? Phil Longo's the coach, right? You know what you do? You go win a damn bowl game. It doesn't matter if you like it. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. There's nothing you can do about it unless you're a donor. Then you could stop giving money. Otherwise, you better hop on board because your coach is Phil Longo. So now let's focus on winning. That's what matters from here on, right?
For one more day, it's Brad Cornelson. Then it's Phil Longo.
No, it's Phil Longo. Just how it is. All right. Vegas has Sam Houston, a 4.5-point underdog to Georgia Southern. On the money line, that would be $161 if you bet 100. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Over under 48.5. So PFF.com brings us the Vegas lines and also brings us what it's going to look like when each team is on the field. And to be honest with you, Ben, this kind of feels like a crapshoot at this moment.
It does. Yeah, I mean, and it's been hard to do a lot of game prep for Georgia Southern just because how intensive the coaching search has been. But they're a good team, coached by Clay Helton, former USC coach. His brother is actually Tyson Helton, who coaches at Western Kentucky. So cool little Conference USA connection there. But
Was he at Michigan too?
I think so at some point.
I think so. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, Georgia Southern 8-4 team. 2 of those losses were to Ole Miss and Boise State, and they played Boise within 9 points. It was 56-45. This Georgia Southern team.
That's 11 points. Math is hard.
Oh, you're right. Sorry, it is 56-45 is 11 points. I don't know. Too many numbers going on right now.
Math is hard, Ben.
But yeah, if you take out those 2 games against 2 teams that are either in the college football playoff or were close to it, they're an 8-2 team. They've had some really big performances, putting up a ton of points. They put up, trying to find some of these here, 38, 42, 45. I think they had a 51 somewhere in an overtime game or something, 42 against South Carolina State. So there's been some games where they've put up points. Defense will give up some points, though. They've given up 30, 40 points a couple times. So tough to know what they look like. I haven't looked into their portal situation too much. I would imagine they might be missing a player or two. I don't think anybody is 100% unscathed at this time of the year, including Sam Houston. But yeah, they're a good team. 8-2 against non-SEC and playoff teams. I think they were a game away from being in the Sun Belt title game. Good head coach, and so I think it's going to be a game that for Sam Houston to win, it's going to have to live in the mid to lower 20s probably, similar to what we've said recently. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's talk about this real quick. Texarkana said big change on the spread. So it opened at 5.5 on December the 8th. It went up to 7 on December the 10th. It hovered around 6.5, and now in the last day, it went from 6 to 4.5.
And you know why? It's because all of these people in Vegas and all these reporters, a lot of them were saying, oh, they've got 20 guys in the portal. They're not going to have anybody to play. But everybody but Jace Bauer, it feels like, is going to play. So we
were hoping Jace wouldn't have to play either. So that wouldn't mean Hunter's hurt.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. The whole defense is there. Skylar Cassidy is calling the plays. He made the 10-hour drive from Denton to New Orleans on Monday. So yeah, you've got your whole team. You made it on Sunday actually. So yeah, you've got your whole team. You've got both your coordinators, missing your head coach obviously, but yeah, this is not a team that's kind of going to be starting the 2s across the board. This is our team that's coming to play.
How? See, that's what concerns me a little bit. That the guy calling your defense has been at North Texas recruiting and doing things at North Texas. I think it would be a little understandable to be a little hesitant about that.
Yeah, and I've heard some people say that, but I think it does help provide some stability through just what's been a crazy couple weeks, and I think the guys appreciate it too, and I think it means a lot to the staff even. That I know some of them are leaving, but I know it was important to them to get to this 10th win. It was important to them that this is the school's first bowl game, and I know I appreciate, like Chris, that these guys have made it an emphasis to stick this out to the very end.
Well, yes, and look, as far as respect for this shows your character. right? Like this was a big character thing for the guys that are still playing, even though they're in the portal, for the coaches that, even though they've got better jobs, more money, whatever, they're coming to coach. It's one last ride. And that is respectable. It says a lot about them. And I'm not really surprised. I shouldn't be surprised because that's kind of the people that Keeler has around himself a lot of times, right? Like those are the people you want a lot of times when you do things the right way. That's how you win. It's hard to do, but that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Culture
has stuck around, it feels like.
It has so far. We hope it stays. Last time they played, Ben said the Cats would beat Liberty 24-23. I said Liberty would win 21-13. Jeremiah said Liberty. He was our special guest, by the way, on that one. If you don't remember Jeremiah, he was from the Fan the Flames podcast. He said that Liberty would win 27-23. Hey, Sam Houston won 20-18.
I win, finally.
So that means Ben is 6-6 versus the spread this year on Cats games. This is a big one for you. Above or below 500?
Well, yeah, and I was 7-5 on the over/under, I think.
You're 7-5 on over/under right now, so you're good there. You're over 50% there, but this is a big one on the spread for you.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like this is another game that if Sam Houston wants to win, it's kind of got to live in the mid to low 20s. And that's what I'm going to predict again. I'm going to go a little higher than I did last time, though. Can you pull the over-under total back up? Because I think that's going to...
Yeah, let me get over real quick before I do that. If you want to know Corey's stats before we get to picks, I'm 3-9 versus the spread.
A little to a lot, yeah.
Let me tell you. Whatever I tell you here in a few minutes, go bet the opposite. And then if you do, don't get mad at me if I'm right this time. Okay? 5-7 versus the spread. Okay, I mean, I'm still below. It's been a bad year. It's funny because I'm winning on the local newspaper, on the Times Record News in Wichita Falls. I am ahead on the spread by like 11 games ahead of anyone else picking games against the spread. But Sam Houston has been the one team that I cannot get this year at all. It's kind of funny that happens that way.
Yeah.
So here we go. Over under 48.5. Let me give you some stats before you start picking here. Vegas says Georgia Southern is going to win 26.5-22, which would set a record. We've talked about that before. The last 6 games for Sam Houston have finished under. The last 3 Georgia Southern games went under. Georgia Southern is 8-3 versus the spread, and they've covered 3 of 4. Sam Houston is 6-6 versus the spread this year. Sound familiar? They lost 5 straight against the spread before they beat Liberty. That's what we're looking at right now. Ben, what say you?
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of rinse and repeat from my prediction last time, and I was going to say the exact same score. I'm going to change it slightly. 24-21 Sam Houston. We're going under. Sam Houston's covering. These guys want to play. They're here to win, and we can get our 10th win. So give me Sam Houston 24-21.
All right. Well, then you're going to feel real good about your pick here in a minute. Wait, I'm 3-9. What do I have to lose, man? I'm taking swings over here. Georgia Southern is a really good football team, in my opinion. They lost by 11 to Boise State. They beat Nevada by 3. They beat Marshall. Marshall's another good team. They lost their coach. We all know about what's going on over there. They beat James Madison. They beat Appalachian State, and they've done pretty well. They're a pretty good team. Sam Houston's got a great defense. I like having these guys back. I feel like the under is the obvious play, and it's probably going to go over, which means I'm going to take the under. Just how I'm 5-7 for a reason, Ben. So I'm going Eagles. And I think it's going to I feel that there have been too many distractions. Your defensive coordinator has not even been in your town for the last 2 weeks. He's been recruiting other players to another place. Your players, I mean, how much practice have you actually had where you've been able to put in the game plan and different things like that? Those are questions. And then also, look, there are changes. Brad Cornell, I know he's going to be in the booth to try to keep it somewhat, but
He's on
there's
the
a
field,
new
actually.
head coach.
He's actually going to be on the field.
Oh, he changed it.
He said in his presser he's on the field, yeah.
Oh, I really don't like that.
Oh, boy.
I'm just saying. I mean, having a new head coach, there are things. Those are distractions. Bowl games a lot of times come down to who wants it the most. Sam Houston, let's face it, we're happy to be here this weekend in New Orleans, right? Am I wrong with that? Like, we're happy to be there. We kind of expected it. We hoped for it, but we're really happy to be there. Clay Helton is a darn good coach. I've got Georgia Southern. Go ahead, people. Go ahead and move it over. Move yourself. Go bet the other side if you feel like it. I have Georgia Southern, and I have it handily. I have 27-17. I'm going Georgia Southern. I'm taking the under. It's close to the over. I'm taking the under on this. I feel like Georgia Southern, even if Keeler was here and nothing had changed, I think I'd still pick Georgia Southern in this game. I think they're that good a team.
Yeah, we'll see. I just kind of feel like it has a last dance vibe to it, especially since you've got the last 10 guys from the title team. I just kind of have a Cinderella feeling to it. I may be completely wrong, but
I'm 3-9, Ben.
We'll see.
I mean, at least you're 6-6.
Yeah, I got to get over the hump.
That's right. Hey, before we get out of here today, I want to make sure and wish you, Ben, and everyone listening and watching the merriest of Christmas. Please be safe. Please enjoy the holidays. It can be stressful. There's a lot going on. Take a moment to breathe and just remember that we're busy because we're blessed. And have a great new year. And please be safe. If you drink, don't drive. Do the watermelon crawl. Simplest way to remember that. And we want to give a big thank you to you for watching, listening, interacting with us, not only today, throughout the year. We don't do this if you're not watching. We don't do this if you're not listening. You mean the world to us. Thank you so much. Seriously, truly enjoy the holidays. We will be back here on January the 8th, ready to go, talking some basketball, talking maybe some football. Who knows? I'm sure there'll be football updates coming as well. We hope that you're back here with us to have the merriest of Christmases, the best of New Year's. But before we get out of here, we need Ben, because there's a bowl game coming up tomorrow night, and we need a victory. So Ben, take us away with a little bit of ho ho ho.
Yeah, eat 'em up, Cats, and let's see the Bearcats get a big bowl victory in the Big Easy.
Ho, ho, ho.